Okay. Number one, Drexel did not know that he was obeying God, I don't guess. I was down praying a while back, and God had put on my heart to start telling my story. And I spoke out loudly, and I said, well, God, if you want me to tell it, you're going to have somebody call me. 3 days later, Drexel called me and told me to come and speak to you all. If y'all take a trip with me back to 1983, the young ones back there, that's old times for you. But 1983, I was 25 years old. Now, that being said, I didn't think I needed God. I was having the time of my life. A friend of mine asked me to come to church. She said her pastor said they were having a revival, and they had to invite at least 10 people. So I was one of her 10 people. I showed up. I sat in church. I listened to the preacher. Thursday night, I went one night just to get it over with. Then I couldn't wait to go back the next night. Thursday night, I'm sitting there, and he's talking about all the sins of man. Well, I sat there and I thought, well, I've never killed nobody. I've never stole. Never drunk. Don't cuss. Got married when I was 18, married the only boy I ever dated. I'm as good as everybody in this church. Went home, went to bed, had a little boy that's about 2 years old, went to sleep. In my dream, God came to me. And I'm on a conveyor belt walking down like a sidewalk. Over on this side, there's smoke. Way off in the distance, smoke. You hear people crying and everything. On this side, it was sunny. All of a sudden, 3 white-clothed people appeared. I can't say if they were men or women or whatever. They wanted my CJ. That's my oldest child. And I'm saying, no, you can't have him. Then they spoke. Where he's going, you can't go. Well, I'm screaming because I want him, and next thing I know, I'm going this way. Well, I wake up. I jump out of bed, I'm on my knees, I pray. I wasn't as good as those people in that church. I wasn't covered in the blood. So I said, Lord, you let me live till morning, and the next night I'll go back and I'll do a public confession. The next night, I went to the altar and I gave my heart to God. I did it that night before, but I made a public confession the next day. Now, that was April 15th of 1983. Not too long after that, I got really sick. I didn't know how much, I guess how close I was to God. Evidently I was sitting on his lap and patting his face because he really made it hard on me. I kept getting sicker and sicker, and finally I ended up having an abscess in my colon. Had to have emergency surgery. About everything that could go wrong went wrong. So what ended up happening is I didn't know I was pregnant. So I called the doctor. Hope I don't embarrass you again. Anyways, I had never had my monthly. And I talked to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, we work in such close proximity when we work on the colon that it throws off the female organs, so don't worry about it. Him thinking that, I know they did a blood test on her, so she can't be pregnant. That's his thought. He told me later. And I'm thinking, I don't remember them doing anything, so maybe I could be. So about 5 weeks after that, I talked to him again. He said, I know you're a gynecologist. I'll call him. Just go on over. So I go over. They do an exam. They do a blood test. I'm pregnant. He tells me to go in his office, sit down. He's got something to tell me. I go in, and he said, look, 11 medications you were on, going through your surgery, 7 of them cause birth defects. I said, okay. He said, I want you back here in about a couple of weeks. We're going to have a discussion. A couple of weeks go back. I go back. He does an ultrasound. Turns the screen away from me, does the ultrasound. We go up to his office. He sits down with me, and he tells me, now I've made you an appointment in Ohio because we don't do procedures like that here. I didn't know what he was talking about. And I said, I don't understand. And he said, well, you've got to terminate this pregnancy. You have to remember, I had just got saved. I had such a naive faith. I mean, the Bible said it, I believed it, that was it. So anyways, I'm telling him, no, I can't. He said, well, you've got a window of opportunity here, you've got time to think about it. I know this is a shock. Go home, I want you back in 3 weeks. 3 weeks go by, I go back. Turn the screen away from me again, do another ultrasound. They want me to go up and see the doctor. I go up, and he said, you've got to terminate this pregnancy. And I said, I can't. And he said, you're going to have a thing. It's not a human being, it's a thing. And I said, how can you say that? He said, because I can see the pictures. Do you want them? That was before video, that was pictures. I said, I can't look at them. He said, you still have a window. You've got to have this done. I want you back here in 2 weeks. 2 weeks go by. I had to go back and have an ultrasound every time before I went to see him. So I go back up to see him, and I'm going to jump forward in a minute. But anyways, I go up to see him, and he's getting pretty upset with me. You've got to do this. You don't know what you're asking. You're young. You're 25 years old. What are you thinking? You're going to have this thing. It's going to grow. It's not a human. You don't understand what I'm talking about. And I said, I cannot have an abortion. And he said, it doesn't have arms. It doesn't have legs. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a whole lot of other things missing. And I said, I just can't. I can't. So anyways, I go home. Before I left in, he said, when you come back, you bring your husband. So Charles went back with me. We're in a room. Dr. Ellie's talking to us. He looks at me and he says, I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to him. So he tells Charles, look, you need to talk to her. She's not understanding. This thing's going to be born. You are going to be stuck with it. You're young. You need to get rid of it now. On the way home, you have to remember Charles was not saved. On the way home, he said, you know, we might ought to do this. We might ought to do this. I said, I can't. Well, I mean, look, we can't live with this. And I said, if you have to bail, you bail. I'll do this on my own. God will either give me the wisdom to endure it, or he'll rectify the problem on my behalf. That's how I felt. So, and it goes on by again, and I'm having ultrasound every time, ultrasound every time, ultrasound every time. I'm on almost 7 months now. Hadn't felt the baby kick or move. Dr. Emmett kept saying that's why you don't feel it, because there's nothing there to move. My brother, which is without Christian, was down, and he was getting ready to leave, and I was standing in Mother's house, and he said, I forgot something. Now, me and Mother was standing in faith that God would take care of this for me. He walks over and he puts a hand on each side of my stomach and he says a prayer. To this day, I don't know what he said. But by the time he walked about 10 feet from me, my shirt was kicking out from my stomach. So I didn't have an appointment. That was on a Sunday. I didn't have an appointment that Tuesday, but the next Tuesday. Now, you don't really have confirmation until you have confirmation. So I was still praising God, thanking him for everything he's done for me, regardless of what happens. I go back. Little girl, she was always so sweet to me. But this time, she's putting it on my stomach and she's rubbing that wand over my stomach and running that water, and she just kept doing it. And she said, here, wipe your own stomach off. Go with me. Hurry, you got to go with me. We go upstairs. He's with another patient. She's knocking on the door. He finally comes out, and she said, look at these pictures. And he said, whose are they? And she said, they're Miss Faulkner's. And I was behind her shoulder, and I stepped out and I said, they're mine. And he said, you get in my office and study. He said, you go down and keep that machine open. I'll be done in a minute and I'll be down. So he comes in the office, he gets my hand, and we go downstairs. He said, I'll do this one myself. He starts doing the wand over my stomach, doing the wand over my stomach. Then finally, he says, do you want to see your baby? So I cry every time at this point. And I said, can I? And he said, I don't know why not. He turns it around, and Logan is sucking his thumb. And Dr. Bowie said, I cannot explain this. There's no way. And I said, how come you can explain the other ones, but you can't explain this one? He said, because I don't understand it. Okay, you think my problem's over with. Anyways, we go on. I go into labor, get to the hospital. I had the first one natural, so I knew I wanted an epidural with this one. So I'm in the room. Doctor comes in. He said, do you want epidural? I said, yeah. Well, let me catch him. He's on his way out, the anesthesiologist. He comes back, gives me an epidural. He goes up instead of down. Let me tell you, with all this part numbed, nothing else happens. I could not see. I was blinded. Whatever was on this side of the room was on this side of the room. It was awful. They take it out. They try to put it in again. Absolutely miserable. They never could get it right. So they finally give birth. He comes out. They just say, you got a boy, and they're off with him. I'm a breastfeeder. I breastfeed every one of mine. I'm in there, and I wake up in the middle of the night. I'd sent Charles home to be with CJ. That's my oldest one. And somebody's sitting at the end of my bed, and I'm moaning. And it's Dr. Dunn. And he said, what's wrong? And I said, they got an ice pack or something in my back. And he said, well, roll over. And he rolls me over, he rolled me back, and he said, don't move one finger. And he hits something on the wall, and it says, code blue, and then all I remember is seeing the lights over my head going down, I guess, to the operating room. So, next morning, I'm in the room, and I said, what happened? He said, before we had done the spinal tap so many times, your spinal fluid had gathered in your back, and you were breathing like 1 time a minute. He said, you were almost gone. So then the little girl comes in and she goes, can I get you to sign something? And I said, what? She said, we didn't get you to sign for that epidural. Ended up, the doctor was, the anesthesiologist was a little bit inebriated. He was getting off work and he'd already had him a couple of drinks, I guess. And I said, I can't sign that. And so, long story short, little nurse comes in and I said, when can I see my baby? She said, honey, the last team of doctors are going over. And I said, team of doctors? And she said, they have flew in from all over, not just the United States, but all over the world. She said, the last team of doctors are going over him. And I said, have they found anything? No. She said, but can you tell me something? I said, what? She said, I've been back there. She said, you know what a clothesline is, right? I said, yeah. She said, I see this thing. And she said, it's horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. And she said, being this beautiful baby, what happened? And I said, God, shut up. And she said, oh, I don't believe like that. And I said, I'm telling you, find him before you think you need him. So they finally bring the baby into me, and a little 4-foot Oriental doctor was with them. And the nurse leans down and gives me the baby. And I said, did they find anything? And she said, not a thing. So the little doctor comes in with all of her attitude, and she said, well, we know you were on tetracycline, so he'll either have soft bones or soft teeth. And she was very, so sure of herself. So she walks out, and I said a prayer. I said, God, if you have to be revealed in this, please let him have soft teeth and not soft bones. We jump ahead. I forget that prayer. One day I'm playing with Logan. He's cutting his teeth. And he's got the office looking teeth, never was. I mean, they just look really strange. So I call a dentist that I knew, running down there. He said, I'm not a pediatric dentist, you've got to take him to Dr. Chris in Winchester. It's hard to get in there. He said, I'll call ahead, be there at 10 o'clock in the morning. I said, okay. So I go down, and the doctor tells me to hold the baby, and he's looking at it, and he said, Miss Faulkner, this child has the softest teeth I've ever seen in my life. They're like chalk. That prayer came back to me, and I said, thank you, Lord. And he said, what did you say? And I said, I don't think you would understand. So, the whole thing, I'm trying to keep this short because I want to talk, but find God before you think you need him. I mean, that's just all there is to it. And he's 34, he's going to be 34 this April, and he's a police officer. And they're just now adopting a little baby. And we're just, you've never looked on a woman that's more blessed than this one standing in front of you right now. I love the Lord with all my heart. And I'll never forget when I got saved. My grandmother was almost 90, and she looked at me, and I went and told her, and she said, So, honey, you got saved? And I said, yeah, I'm saved. And she said, but are you sanctified? And I said, I don't know what that is. And she said, being saved, you go through heaven's gates. Being sanctified, God will meet you there and take your hand and walk you across heaven. And I said, well, how do I get sanctified? And she said, study and find thyself approved. And I'll never forget, that was the most important words I think anybody's ever said to me, because I just can't get enough. I want to study, I want to read, it's just amazing to me. God is so good. We put him in a box. We think, well, I wouldn't pray for that, but he's not going to do that for me. Let me tell you, God may not be respecters of persons, but he honors faith. Unwavering faith, he honors. When you got to pray for something, you get on your knees, fall on your face, fast, and pray. I'm telling you, prayer is the door, faith is the key. I've never had a prayer that wasn't answered, ever. I'm 59 years old. I got saved when I was 25. I've never had a prayer unanswered. And I had a woman say, how can you say that? I'm almost 80 and I have prayers unanswered all the time. Because I pray his will. May not be what I want, but I pray his will. And he always comes through. Always. But anyways, that's my testimony, and I hope you all like it.